here's what we're going to do. We got two pots here. The first pot is we're going to make a little filling. And what I do is I take peaches in a sauce pot. How much sugar depends on how sweet the peaches are, how ripe they are. But they're going to need some sugar because we're going to make like a filling. A couple of cloves. Oh, yeah, babe. And a little bit of nutmeg. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to bring that up to temperature here, and we're going to make it into a little filling. It'll start cook down a little bit. The sugar will dissolve, and that's going to be the filling for the peach pies. You may want a little cinnamon. Why I didn't really add cinnamon to the filling is because the dough, I'm going to kind of make like a cinnamon dough. If you see where I'm going with this thing. Now, interesting enough, and I was shown this. I have flour, and then I'm going to add cinnamon, sugar, and a little salt. Now, go do that first, your dry ingredients. Because once you begin to start adding the fat to this now, whether you use butter or you use shortening, but what was shown to me was about using a combination, which I thought at first was like really strange. And what it is that beside shortening or lard, also little dots of cream cheese. I know, when I first, I was like, no, I don't think so. But let me tell you. So now what we do, I'm just doing this with a fork. We're going to incorporate the shortening in this first, and it starts getting into like small little pieces. And when you're making these kind of doughs, whether you're making a pie dough, you're making a savory dough like this, go fool around with it all you want, like right now. But once you start adding the liquid, and the liquid should be cold, water, ice water, okay? Put a few ice cubes in there. Once you start adding the water in there, you got to be very quick and very gentle with it, or you're going to have a tough pie crust or a tough dough. So once I get the shortening worked in here in our dry ingredients, the next thing that I do before I even start the water is I take that cream cheese in little pieces, and then watch. I'm going to start working that inside of the dough now. Like I said, we're going to get this incorporated, and then when it's incorporated, that's when we're going to start adding our ice water to form the dough. Okay? So we're going to have this sort of cinnamon little dough. Once those peaches in the syrup, they cook a little bit. See how it's starting to get reduced now, the sugar from the juices? Don't throw that out. What we do is this. I take some cornstarch and the juice of one lemon, and then I sort of dissolve it. Now, if it gets too thick like that, don't panic. Don't panic. Everything's going to be all right. Just needs a little bit more water. Now, when you're using cornstarch, arrowroot, it should be cold, never hot. You want to dissolve that in here. And then what we're going to do, once it's nice and dissolved, we're going to add it to this syrup, and it's going to get really, really thick. How thick? Well, you'll never know with a thickening agent until it comes to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, that's how thick it will be. Trust me, it's going to be thick. Now, then what you do, once it gets good and thick, we add the peaches back in there. And that sort of now makes the filling. Perfect. Now, we'll bring that up to a boil, we'll turn it off, and we'll let it get cool so we can work with it. Now, when we started adding the cold water to make the dough, the other trick that you want to do, pie dough, this type of tot dough, because of the fat inside of here, no matter what you use, whether you use lard, shortening, butter, margarine, whatever, you want to get it to relax again. The easiest way, you should do it the day before. Now take it, wrap it in plastic, put it back in the ice box. Okay? That would be the refrigerator. Then, when you're ready to work with it, and the filling could be made the day before as well. Then when you're really ready to work with it, you take it out, and now you start working with it, rolling it with the pin, etc., rolling pin, etc., etc. You with me so far? Okay. So now I roll these little rounds out, and basically what we're going to do now, I'll show you how we're going to do them. We'll take a little bit of that peach filling. That's cool. And you don't want to add too much, because you add too much, it starts oozing out. You're going to have problems. So just about that amount. And then what you want to do is you want to take it and you want to fold over like sort of a little empanada. And then you can just sort of pat it down. And then what I do is just take the fork and I crimp it. And then you have these little peach pies. Now, if you want to fry them, you can fry them. Veg oil, 350, 360 in there, nice. But they're going to be delicate. So before you fry them, you may want to put them in the ice box again. That would be the refrigerator. And then you could just sort of get them nice and cold again before you fry them. The other thing, you can have them made. You can always just pop them in a 375-degree oven, okay? 375-degree oven also works